before you I could ever change her. Every time you look up to the sky, realize that you are only looking in the mirror.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of AuthenticAmigas. My name is Valerie.
And I'm Florencia. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 15 of AuthenticAmigas podcast. We're so happy to have you here. Every week we talk about different topics, talk about businesses, we talk about life, we talk about advice, we talk about whatever y'all want us to talk about. So thank you for tuning in for another week's episode. We're super happy to have you here. Today we're talking a little bit about social media. We have a few things to say about social media.
Right. The good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, the filters.
The filters. Oh my God.
The filters. And I'm going to stop right here real quick. If you have not followed us on our social medias yet, go ahead and do that right now. We are at AuthenticAmigas on Instagram and Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. We will 100% follow you back. And best friend, where can they find this podcast at?
Sure, you can find us and listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to check us out wherever you listen to your music or your podcasts. We are there.
So yes, we are going to talk today about social media. We have a couple points, like best friend said, that we want to hit on with social media, and we're going to get straight into it.
So I don't know how long everybody's been on social media, but I mean, if you're here, you most likely know us because of social media, or we keep up with one another through social media. And our podcast, a big way that we try to reach out to everybody is through social media. I don't want to say it almost, but like I almost want to say like we wouldn't be here like recording this podcast if social media did not exist. It's such a big factor. So many things would be so different if social media did not exist.
Right. I agree because social media really is how we connect with people, especially right now through a global pandemic. It's been the only way we really can connect with people and see what they're up to. And for me personally, social media is a way where or it's a platform, multiple platforms on social media remind me to constantly like hit people up outside of social media because I see them post or I see their story, I see their name, and I'm like, you know what? I want to see how this person is doing. Like, let me hit them up. So it works for a lot of things, but it also, like we said, it works for good and it works for bad and it works for views and it works for many things.
Yeah, so some people are really not into social media, and I don't blame them. The way that it's evolved,
Right.
To where it is today. Like you said, it's useful for a lot of things. I definitely feel like I'm on social media more than some people, and we spend a lot of time consuming whatever we see, and that's like such a big deal. Sometimes we don't realize, like, until we get that screen time notification, how many hours of our life are spent like just scrolling on an app, and so it becomes really important, like what we're seeing, what we're consuming. It really matters. And the thing is about social media is that like with these algorithms, like it's so crazy. We tell the social media what to show us, and it shows us stuff, and then it influences us. Like it's like a cycle. Like we create the content on social media, and then it shows us content, and that changes us. And I feel like that's the very important part, and that's the part that got me fucked up sometimes, to be honest, is how much of an effect it can have on us, and how much it can really like affect our lives, like for better or for worse. A lot of people have careers that were built on social media. Their line of work would not exist without social media. Everything from photographers to influencers to like different companies that sell products. It's all very heavily, social media is everything.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's important to definitely point out the good of social media because, like you said, it's created so many jobs and so many different career paths that didn't necessarily exist prior to social media. Like being an influencer, that's a whole career. That's a full-time job. I know for myself, I run my I run my business on social media too. I run it on there full time, because if it wasn't for social media, there's no way I could promote and market and interact and engage and get my product out there unless I had a storefront, which again, for a lot of people, it's just not possible to do. So social media has done a lot of good for us, but it can also do too much of anything. Like we always say on this podcast, too much of anything could be damaging and harmful, and social media is definitely one of those things as well. So I'm very grateful. I want to say that I am very, very grateful for social media. I personally love social media. I love, I'm just going to say the apps. I love like TikTok right now. I love Twitter, Instagram.
It's a little flaky. We don't know how we feel.
We've had this discussion before. I'm really not a fan of Instagram right now, although I run my business on Instagram as well, and that's my primary source. Uh, that's my primary app, I guess, for my business, because that's where I have the most following and the most engagement. But it bites me in the butt all the time. Like the algorithm sucks. The new updates are just terrible.
It's worse with every update somehow.
They're no longer here for the consumer. They're just there for themselves, and they're just using us as their little puppets at this point, and it really shows. I mean, honestly, probably all social media like platforms do that, but Instagram really doesn't care to expose themselves. They really
Yeah.
don't care what we think, what we feel, what we're saying. They don't care to hear us as a consumer, and it's really upsetting. And I think for multiple reasons, best friend, Instagram, we might be saying bye to Instagram soon. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Instagram is on its way out. It's had a very long run. But I think at this point, it might not be like this year, but I do think it's on its way out for sure. I think a lot of it has to do with like Facebook, and like Mark Zuckerberg and that union, like when that happened, and like Instagram and Facebook kind of became the same, like the one and the same. I think that had a lot to do with like when it started going to trash. To be honest, that's just my take on it. I'm surprised that it's still allowed to exist like the way it has. Like it's not like a monopoly or something that's been broken up. Because even like I don't want to like get into it too much, but like even with the election in 2016, like how much Facebook was a big freaking deal in like pushing alternative realities. I was listening to this actually the other day on the radio. Media has such a big impact on like how we perceive reality, and it's so crazy, and that's like it's so important for that reason, you know, because a lot of the times like people who are very extreme and who believe like things that I consider to be not true, like for example people who think that Trump won the election and it was stolen from him, like a lot of it has to do with like the media that they consume, like where they're getting their news, because there are like extreme media outlets. And anyways, I'm going off on a tangent about media in general, but it is super important. And you're right, like in my opinion, like a lot of it has been both for the better extreme, like, and also for the worst extreme at the same time. At the moment, like I said, I do think Instagram is on its way out, but it's still very important. Like you said, like a lot of people run their businesses almost exclusively through promotions on Instagram, which it's a way to promote and run your business for free almost. Obviously your time is not free, but in a way that
You're not
cuts
paying
out
like a rent fee. You're not paying
exactly.
Yeah.
Or even like you said, like having a storefront, like it's not really necessary to start a business anymore to have a storefront. In fact, in a lot of cases, it's like actually not profitable to have a storefront over like to run a business from your home or from like a workspace and do things that way online, you know?
Yeah.
At the moment, I agree. TikTok is one of my favorite social media apps. I think TikTok and Twitter are my favorites. I made a joke a couple episodes ago about like don't follow me on Twitter because I'm very honest on Twitter, and it's where I'm myself the most. And I think TikTok is kind of like they go hand in hand, where it's very organic. Like people don't care about impressions, and where Instagram is all about like nip and tuck and filter and Facetune and smooth and blur.
And it has to look great with the feed, and it has to capture the eye.
And the timing of the posting, everything is so calculated on
Yeah.
Instagram, like calculated to perfection.
Yeah.
Um, where it's not a reflection of like who we really are. Um, and I think that TikTok and Twitter are the only apps that I can think of that we really use that are part of like mainstream media that are pretty organic,
Hmm.
and a little bit more honest about like what we are like as humans. You know, I think TikTok is very organic in that people really be saying anything on that app.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. And I think what a big flaw of like with Instagram is how it is no longer really like relatable. Like it's hard to find relatable content on there because all you see is perfection. Like you said you see curated, perfect, like slapped a couple times through every single editing app there
Mhm.
is. And it's like it's beautiful, but I feel like as a society we want to feel validated for who we are, not who we can be after using 10 editing apps, a $1,000 camera, like filters and posting at a certain time. Like we don't want to be like, we just want to feel, I think, like being ourselves is enough, and
No,
and
yeah.
and through that finding the connection, because that's what like social media is being able to connect with people, and we as humans crave connection. And with Instagram, it's hard to connect with something that isn't reality. It's really hard. It looks beautiful, and we're captivated by beauty, but it's no longer, we were kind of tired of seeing that. I think as a society we're tired of all that. We want to see raw, we want to see organic, we want to see genuine. And I think that's why TikTok is doing so well right now, is because you can't run TikTok through Facetune, you can't run TikTok through
Yeah.
Photoshop, and people go on there and they are themselves. They're like, this is my body, this is what I look like, these are my roles, this is my hair, this is me, this is who I am. And it's really hard to create a false persona on TikTok, much harder than it is on Instagram. On Instagram, I could literally upload a picture from Pinterest, post it on there, put it through, a couple filters, and make it mine. And no one
Yeah.
will ever know. People will think I'm in the freaking Bahamas, but for TikTok, like it's different situation.
Yeah, and that's something that I actually didn't realize until now that you're talking about it. That's something that like I love about Gen Z. Gen Z I associate with TikTok a lot because it's a lot of young people on that app. There's also people like, our age where we're like on the cusp of like Gen Z and millennial, and there's also millennials on that app. There's people of all ages on that app, but I think predominantly it's young people on TikTok, and that's something that I love about that generation is that like they're very honest, they're very real. They say like whatever on there, and the energy is so different if you're reading the comments on a TikTok versus like on an Instagram. If you see in an Instagram post, like if you go on like any viral Instagram post or any post like from a large account like with a large following, a lot of the times is hate. Not all the
Yeah.
time, not all of it. There's also a lot of love on that app too, and there's also a lot of like positive connections that it's helped, but a lot of the times it's a lot of hate on the app, and a lot of, like you said, not being good enough for that app. Whereas if you scroll through the comments on TikTok, it's so relatable, it's so funny. It's like I read this comment a lot when I see TikToks, and it'll say like, damn, like we really all had the same childhood, or like we really all had the same life, because
Right.
we share so many, we find things in common with one another on
Right.
that app. I don't know if it's the algorithm. Like I said,
Right.
it could be the demographic, like the people who are on TikTok that I relate with, but it's just such a different vibe where you can be like show the ugliest parts of yourself,
Yeah, no.
and people will be like, yes, go off queen, like me too, like even like all kinds of things.
Dude, and honestly, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk badly on anybody, including celebrities, but I was getting so tired of seeing these Kim Kardashians left, right, up, down, all over my
Instagram
Instagram.
baddie.
for years. I mean, not even like a season. This has been going on since the beginning of Instagram. It's been so exhausting mentally to try and remove the idea and the thoughts that would cross my mind every single time I would scroll this. And it is just like a cold glass of water when you go on TikTok and you just see beautiful women, beautiful people of all shapes, sizes, just being themselves, not trying to have a 22-inch waist with the biggest booty in the world, which nothing wrong with that. We love queens, we love baddies, we love it. It's all love, but it's really exhausting as somebody who is just like, I'm just me.
Normal.
Like, yeah, right? Like, I'm just me trying to figure out where I fit into this social media construct. Like, where do I belong here? Like, I'm like, do I fit? Is this for me? Is Instagram for me? Should I not? And that was a whole battle. And TikTok, I think it's really right now is how it is. Nothing's perfect, and they have a lot to work on, especially with like the Black creators and people of color. Like they have a lot to work on, I'm not gonna lie either, but TikTok so far is doing it the best for me personally. um like, Kim Kardashian, what are you gonna do on TikTok, girl? Because you can't run that through Photoshop. You can't run it through Facebook, and that's not shade or anything like that at all. But it's like that's not what we want to see anymore. I
Yeah.
think millennials, and for the longest time, like prior to Gen Z, I feel they're so focused on perfection, how to be the perfect woman, how to have the perfect body, how to act dainty, like how to make sure like everything's just perfect and clean and crisp and dainty and cute and like stick your pinkies out, for the camera. Girl, a video is not, you have to be yourself, or else people will see right through a video if you're being yourself or not. Like, people will be able to tell. On a photo, you can't really tell those things, right? So
Yeah, and there's a lot of transparency too, because TikTok does have like I've only made a handful of TikToks, but TikTok does have like the beauty mode filter. But when you use it, what happens? When you post the video, it says beauty mode. Like it says like there's a filter here. And so I think that there's a lot more transparency on TikTok as opposed to on other social media apps.
yeah.
And it's like I said, it's just a totally different environment.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking on filters, ooh, can we talk about Instagram filters real quick? Just
Yeah.
transition that
So
one fast.
specifically, I think if I'm on the right track here, we're talking about like when you go to stories to post
Oh
something.
yeah, so like the effects and like the little filters.
Right.
Yeah.
And same thing, and Snapchat also has them. I don't really use Snapchat like that, but I know Snapchat
Does
also
Snapchat exist still?
I'm dead. You're like, no shade. Let me just sip my tea real quick.
Do people use Snapchat still?
I think they do, but to be honest, the only people that I see are like locals.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I think they do, because I know even Gen Z uses it, but Gen Z uses it just to like, I think they only have like private stories, honestly.
That's true. Oh my god. Oh my god. So my little sister, I know she's probably listening. She, like one time I saw like over her shoulder, she has like so many different private stories. Like what's with that? Like having
Yeah.
all the different levels of like this content is for this group of people and this content is for this group of people.
Yeah.
And I can post this here, but I wouldn't be caught dead posting that here,
Yeah.
which is so funny that we like compartmentalize ourselves in that way. Like
Yeah.
we present ourselves, it's in different ways for different people, for different audiences. It's such a weird thing. We're so damn performative as humans. But yeah, I'm like ripping my hair out going off about this, but it's crazy, like you said, the effects and the filters, how they've fueled our obsession with perfection. And I remember it hit me one time when I saw this video on Twitter about this girl getting veneers, and there's like nothing wrong with her teeth. She has like a full mouth of healthy, beautiful teeth, and she was getting veneers, and I don't know if this is right or not. I'm not a dentist, but they like shaved down her teeth like to little, I'm sure you've seen it too, like to little like nubs, like it looks like screws or something, so that they can fit the porcelain, the like perfectly bright, white, symmetrical, weird, perfection looking veneers onto her teeth, which I'm not against like any type of like modification. Everybody should do what makes them happy. And I actually wanted to say this earlier, but like we're guilty of this as well, like of like chasing the Instagram baddie aesthetic. Like,
Oh,
of course,
100%. 100%.
just like everybody else, you know, like we have been there and it still happens, you know. But it hit me seeing this video of this girl getting these veneers. Like, there was nothing wrong with her smile. Like, there was nothing wrong with her teeth. They were like perfectly intact, perfectly healthy. Like, to me, like a normal person seeing them, like perfectly fine set of teeth. And she's getting these veneers that are like completely, like, you cannot find a flaw on them. And so I feel like that's just one example, but it applies to so many things, like fillers. People started getting lip fillers, like a lot of people, like a few years ago. And it became a very commonplace thing, whereas before, like maybe only like models, celebrities, people who were like in front of cameras a lot would get work done. Now, like literally your neighbor, like cualquier persona, like anybody will have gotten work done.
Yeah, and the thing about like companies like Instagram, they know how bad humans crave perfection when they see perfection, right? So they know what they're putting for us to see. Like they control the algorithm. They're like, oh, yeah. No, they have full control as well. They know exactly all those ads, everything that they throw at us every single day. They know what they're doing. There's a huge market out there. Perfection is a marketing scheme. Perfection is a marketing tool. Like, companies know how bad we want to seem and look and appear perfect, so they'll use anything to try and manipulate our minds to thinking and believing that we need to do so. So even with the filters on Instagram that they do, the big lips, I saw this one girl had posted a story, and she said that had no thought ever to modify her features in any way whatsoever until she swiped that Instagram filter through her beautiful natural face, and she saw how she looked with bigger lips, and then she like thought, like, is this something I want to do? Which, that broke my heart. But because imagine somebody living their life, not ever not ever thinking like I want to do anything to myself, like I want to like I don't like, right? Like, it's, you feel great about yourself, you feel, because she even said in one of her stories after that, she was like, I know I'm beautiful. So, right, we're talking about somebody who knows their worth, knows they're beautiful, is very confident within themselves, about their appearance, and who sees that and thinks like, should I get this done? And that's somebody who is already confident, right? And who's already on, like, far ahead in her self-love journey. So if somebody who's just starting their self-love journey, or who hasn't even started, imagine swipes one of those things through their face, it's a game changer. It's like, oh my God, this is what I need. This is what I've always needed to feel better about myself. And that breaks my heart. I can't even begin to explain how saddening that is, to think about. And I know that's the case. It has to be the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, a lot of it has to do with like the whole culture that social media has fueled. We've become obsessed with perfection from all angles. Like, how many times have you had a picture? And a lot of this was before social media too. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, bad pictures of us existed before social media as well. But
My best friend, I know what you're talking about. No.
no, dude. But the thing is that we didn't have to constantly confront like our image of ourselves. Right. You know. Right. And it just affects our psychology in such a weird way, because we literally all the time have to come to terms with how other people see us. And a lot of the times, like, it's such a simple thing. Like I said, like, you see a picture of yourself taken from like an angle that you don't like, and you're like, oh my God. And it puts such a damper on your image of yourself, when like it's all about angles. And we think that no one else ever looks bad. Yeah. Just us. Only we look bad somehow.
Yeah, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with like working your angles. That's one thing that I'm very like, I stand by. Girl, work your angles. Work what God gave you. Work with what you got. That I think that's amazing. Let's do that instead of putting these filters that make our lips look so much bigger, or like we wanting to like shrink ourselves, which, you know what, like I am 100% guilty of doing that at some points in my life. Like, when you're not secure about yourself. So you're like, what can I modify? What can I change? Like, it wasn't until like literally going through 2020 was a huge transitional phase in my life, where I think now going into 2021, I said it before on my Instagram story, I've gained some weight for sure. And for some reason, I've never been more confident in my entire life. Um, and so I don't think it has really anything to do with like my appearance. It has everything to do with my mentality, and knowing that like no matter what, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am perfect how I am today, and I don't need anybody, like no filters gonna tell me otherwise. Like no the little Instagram freaking, I don't even know how they make that stuff. The little swipey thingy is gonna tell me that I need to change myself. Imagine? Oh no. So
Yeah, and we're not, like I said before, we're not opposed to doing anything. Everybody deserves to feel like comfortable and confident and happy with themselves in this body. And a lot of that is a mental exercise. And if you want to do any sort of like modification to yourself, I mean, I'm not going to be like, how can I honestly sit here and be like, oh, like, love what you got, and like meanwhile like I have like contour, I have like all this concealer on, you can't
right.
see like what my skin looks
Right.
like, you
Even
know.
like with recording, I'm like, how can I make this angle work for me? Hold up. Like,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And
It's a part of our lives. It's just about being aware, because I'm not opposed to getting any work done. I think everybody who wants to and can, and as long as it's healthy, you know, because it can be dangerous sometimes, as long as it's healthy, like do whatever you want to do. And if it makes you feel better, all power to you, you know.
yeah, amen. Amen.
Yeah.
I feel the same exact way, but for me it's definitely all about loving yourself. So knowing that like, yes, I'm gonna get this done, but it's not because I don't love myself. It's just because I feel like a little, we have insecurities. All of us have insecurities. Every single one of us has insecurities, whether they want to admit it or not. So it's about knowing like I love myself. It's just this one little thing that's making me feel a little bit insecure, and I want to do something about it. Go ahead, but love yourself before and after. Know like I think that's what it is for me. But back to Instagram and their stupid filters. They're dumb filters. There's some really cute ones, though, I'm not gonna lie. I love filters. I am the queen of using filters. We love filters. I'll use them all day. But the ones that I think we're specifically talking about are the ones that shrink your cheeks and make your face look and make your lips bigger, and then
Blur everything.
yes, and even like my freaking forehead shrinks. I'm like, how did that happen? And yeah, everything just changes. They give me extra lashes sometimes that like are like super outrageous. The one for me is when my nose gets smaller and it looks like a
That one
little
freaks me out
more.
too.
I'm like, what the heck happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even the ones where my eyes go blue. That one kind of creeps me out sometimes because I'm like, I don't want blue eyes. Like, give me
Yeah.
my brown eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another thing too that we have to realize, a lot of this is just being like honest with ourselves. Like the person that we are thinking that we're looking at, 99% of the time they don't look like that if you see them in real life. It has to do with filters. Even if it's not like on Instagram, like in magazines and stuff, they do not look like how they look like to you, you know? And we do not realize that a lot of the time. I don't know, like, I don't remember where I heard this, but like I saw something one time that said something about the Kardashians and how they have people who literally like Photoshop the hell out of their photos, even like the paparazzi photos that like are like candidates of them that like they didn't know that they were taking them and they ended up online. They photoshopped the crap out of those and they don't look like that.
I don't know if you remember when Kim Kardashian's butt pictures came out when she was on a vacation at the beach.
Oh yes, I do remember.
And she freaked the fuck out. And people, were saying like, it's not that she looks any different. It's just that they caught her at a different angle where the sun is facing her and she's never seen herself unphotoshopped. And that's what happens sometimes is when you're constantly running your pictures through all these editing like tools you start thinking that's really what I look like at all times, and you do everything to try and look like that at all times. And then when you see something that where you're like, there's no way. Like when you see a picture where you actually look like a human, your brain doesn't accept it. Your
Yeah.
brain is like, no, there's no way I can have
Yeah,
an
because now the
imperfection.
bar is here, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas we all look like this is the standard with all of the help of like editing things and filters and whatever, we now have set the bar up here. And
Right.
that's just not normal. No human can look like that.
No, girl, no. Because even like in my pictures, I look good in my pictures, don't get me wrong. But girl, I have a bonsai, I have cellulite for days. I have cellulite for days. I have stretch marks. I can go on and on and on my little list of things that I think like I have that society says is not beautiful, but I think they're beautiful now because they're on me and I'm beautiful. So anything that's on me is beautiful. Um, so yeah, Instagram again could be an amazing tool for some people, and it has been during this pandemic. I know a lot of people have started their businesses and run it full time through Instagram. So blessing there, but also it could be really toxic and unhealthy for our mental state and our self esteem. And that's why personally I prefer TikTok and Twitter over Instagram any day. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel it as much, you know. Mind you, anytime that we present ourselves in front of someone, there's always that pressure to be perfect, to be flawless. Every time that we present ourselves in front of someone, there is that pressure, but it definitely translates a different way on Instagram, and I think that a lot of the features of the app just fuel it.
Yeah.
Um but like we said, it's not all bad. You said a lot of people run their businesses almost exclusively through the use of social media, especially Instagram. Um, I think over the years, it's allowed us to make a lot of friends.
Ah,
We're friends with people that we otherwise like would not know, and I think that that's an incredible thing. I mean, I don't feel like this really was true for me actually until I was friends with you more, Val, and until like I started meeting people through you more, because I think that you're very good at like connecting with people on social media and maintaining those relationships. And as a result of like my being friends with you, I kind of would get to know other people and like hear about other people. And there's a lot of people that like I see and that I keep up with on social media that like we're in contact,
yeah.
and I've never met them in real life, but like I would do anything for them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Those are your friends. Those are your friends. 100%. I think um with social media and making friends, I was just telling best friend how 80% of my friendships have started through social media, have started literally on Instagram, if not Twitter, but mostly Instagram. And we meet in person, we become friends, and then I meet their friends, and we become friends, and that's really how it's been. And a lot of them I still haven't met, but I feel like I've known my entire life, and who I know I can DM or text, and they'll be there for me. And that's all the law of attraction too, by the way. Like, you attract what you are, and even through social media, it works there as well. So I'm so grateful for Instagram. There's a period in our lifetime where best friend and I, all we did was create content. Literally all we did. And actually, I don't even like I want to create content this year. That's something that I have on my vision board. And best friend, that's something that she wants to do. Like we both want to do is just create more content, which content usually goes on social media. It usually
Yeah.
like is tied in with social media. So again, like this isn't to drag social media. There's so much good that can come out of it. But we did also want to highlight the bad. But like I was saying, there was a period in our lifetime, a summer, where best friend and I all we did kind of mostly for fun, if not all for fun, was just dress up and take pictures and take content. And we would just post like what, once a week, I think, right? Like we were consistent with our posts. Like I think there was this time where we posted once a month, but for the most part, best friend, we were like on it.
Yeah, we were very on top of it for a good while. And like I said, it allowed us to connect with a lot of people, also learn hella skills like that apply to so many things, skills. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that I think people don't realize sometimes. And even though social media is such a big part of our lives, and so many people make their living exclusively through social media, for a lot of people, like, it's still not legitimate. Especially I tend to see it more like in older people. But for a lot of people, like, it's not a legitimate way of like making a living. But there's actually so much that goes into it, and it's tied into like kind of like with running a business, how we've talked about running businesses before. There's, you have to take the photo, you have to have somebody help with that, and then the styling that goes into it.
Yeah, and this is just like we're just normal people, by the way. We're
Yeah.
not like influencers. Influencers, that's brand. That's a whole
Yeah, but they have like a whole team, they have
Yeah.
like managers and everything.
Yeah,
But
this is
there's like analytics that go into it, like running your numbers and knowing like when is a good time to post, how to engage with people, how to grow, all of that. Or like it's there's a reason why people like are social media strategists full time. Like there's a lot that goes into it. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely respect that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's our question. I have a question for you. If Okay, how do you see yourself using social media this year? How do you see yourself using social media this year?
Okay, so like we said, there was a time when we used social media a lot to grow our own pages. I really don't see myself doing that as much anymore. I think a lot of it has to do with like I have my focuses in other places, like my school and my career. But and when I say my career, I mean like outside of like any image on or any presence on social media. I don't see it happening on my personal page as much. To be honest, I'm just not interesting. I'm not interesting. Sorry, I'm very interesting. I'm just not interested.
I was like, hold up, what did you say about my best friend? Hold on. No.
I'm dead. No, I'm a very interesting person. I'm a normal ass person, but I'm just not interested in
being humble.
Doing that. No. But I'm just not interested in it. I'm glad that we have our podcast because I am interested in like connecting with people through that. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see it for me as much. I'm just not like a lot of the times, like when we were like on social media a lot, like people would ask if like I was trying to model and like stuff like that, and like I was not interested in that. And so I think for me, I see most of my time on social media being spent on as far as like content or like things that I put out on our podcast more for me personally.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? I think for you, I imagine that because of your brand, like that's going to be very different.
Yeah, I definitely want to do social media more than I ever have before. And that's the reason why I didn't do it as much before is because I really wasn't as confident as I am today. Like the self-love journey is a whole thing that's gonna like it's been taking a minute for me. And I've been on it for a while, and I'm finally to a point where I feel like it's important to have representation of all different body types and all different people. And if I feel like I don't see enough girls that look like me out there, I'm sure there's somebody else, like one person who feels the same. So it's really important for me to break out of my shells. And I don't have too many shells on me left. But the ones that I have left on me, like I need to take those off, and I just want to push myself to the point where I don't feel comfortable anymore. That's when I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, when I just don't feel for me it's important to feel uncomfortable. I know a lot of people might not feel that, but if I'm feeling too comfortable, I need to do something different. So I've been feeling a little bit too comfortable the past year or so with what I post and how I interact with social media. So basically, in 2021, I just want to post whatever the fuck I want to post, but I want to post consistently. So whatever the fuck I want to post, but consistently. And I'm a creative person. I love styling. I love makeup. I love fashion. I love connecting. And literally all those things fall under social media. I don't see myself being an influencer and none of that. I just see myself using my social medias as a way for me to be creative, and let that out. So, and engage with people, like my friends, not like engage with followers. No, like make friends. That's what I want. So
yeah,
we'll see where 2021 takes us, but creating more content is the goal.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And I love, like I said, I love that we have our little podcast project to allow us to make those connections. That matters to me a lot more. Like, hopefully like one day having the opportunity to like connect with people, to give advice to people, to hear people, and all of that, that like building that community matters to me a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, best friend. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Authentic Amigas. Can you believe it? You're here again. We can't believe it. But we love you guys so much. We both can't even begin to explain how much we care for you guys and how much we love you. So thank you for tuning in. My name is Valerie. If you want to check me out on my personal, it's Valerie Pamela. Best friend, where can they find you?
I'm at Florencia everywhere.
Except TikTok, because somebody took her TikTok. So.
Somebody, and I actually just checked it last night. They still have my @,
Dude,
I'm gonna be checking it. I honestly have no idea. I've never looked it up, but I'm at Florencia Galvan _ on TikTok. You can find us together at AuthenticAmigas everywhere. And yeah, that's all we got. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to my best friend and I, two best friends, just trying to make it happen. By it, I mean this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
To lift the weight of the world, keep us still, no, no.